This podcast is sponsored by Pogo, property operations on the go. Facility managers know how challenging it can be to keep everything running smoothly. That's why Pogo was created, a white-labeled software solution designed by property managers for property managers. Pogo is your ultimate all-in-one platform for managing multiple assets. With Pogo, you communicate with your tenants, manage maintenance requests, control property access, manage bookable spaces, and much more. Plus, with advanced analytics, Pogo empowers you to optimize your operations anytime, anywhere. The best part? Pogo is completely customizable to fit your brand and business. Simplify your operations, enhance tenant satisfaction, and save money with Pogo. Ready to make the switch? Visit gopogo.us to schedule your demo today. Pogo, one system, multiple solutions at your fingertips. Welcome, everyone. Today here at Real Opportunity, I've got Lance Windel with me today. The name of your company is LW Development. Is that correct?
That's the development company.
Okay.
Correct.
Well,
yes.
I met Lance a while ago when we started to look at doing some affordable housing here in Oklahoma City in general, because it's needed.
Right.
And when I got in touch with you, Kathy O'Connor introduced
Correct.
us.
Right. Yeah.
And I really got interested in what you were doing and how you were doing. And I could really tell that you're the leader in this industry. So I'm here today because I want to hear about it. I want to hear what you do and how you do it. So let's go back in time. What got you going? What got you into really providing affordable housing for Oklahomans?
By accident.
Okay.
I started. I did a little Marine Corps stint. When I got done with that, the
Marine
first thing
Corps?
I did.
Whoa, what'd you do in the Marine Corps?
I was combat engineer.
No way.
Right. So we blow it up. We don't make it. We do very light construction, but what we really do is blow it up. So I got that side down first.
Okay.
Right. But when I got off of active duty, oddly enough, the very first thing I did was buy an old triplex in Ardmore, Oklahoma, hometown. Right. And it was the first house I ever bought. I never bought one to live in. I bought an investment property. And it worked. And after I'd bought about 10 or 15, I was a home builder. I had taken another job as a home builder down in Dallas, big production builder like a Pulte or a DR Horton.
Yeah.
And so I learned, right? And so I went down there because I needed a job. And it was that or the oil field. And I took that job. And to be honest, you can learn to build a house in about 90 days. It's not really that hard if there's a process and a program.
Wait a second. So you were building homes in 90 days?
Correct.
From from
cycle time. Yeah.
You're kidding me. So you're doing foundation,
everything,
exterior, mechanical, electrical in 90 days.
When we were on our peak, I was at 60. I haven't seen 60 in a long time. The bigger I've gotten, the slower. It's oddly enough, you would think the bigger I got in the process, I got down to it. But back when I was small and nimble, and it was like me and another guy, we could hit 60-day cycle times.
But now you got bigger, it takes longer.
Now I've got bigger. It's like 4 or 5 months. Yeah. But it's 4 or 5 months, and we're doing blocks of 15 or 20 at a time. That's right. Awesome. So it's kind of. But we were, I learned with the production builder, just like the ones that we have here in Oklahoma City. And I did it for a couple of years, but at the same time, I was building a real estate portfolio of what I call junkie rental. We're going to lead with, I'm pretty blunt. Well, let's just be honest. I call it how I see it, right? That's right. I was buying junkie rental. I was doing some fixes and flips, back before it was cool and on TV. And I couldn't find a property manager. And I was living in Dallas and, I was coming home on the weekends. And I finally said, after 2 years of working for that production company, hey, I'm going to go home and I'm going to make it rich being a property manager in Ardmore, Oklahoma.
In Ardmore.
And about
property manager.
About 6 months later, I realized that, nobody gets rich in property management, but I had set my roots. I'd gone back to the hometown. I'd gotten my roots, and really didn't want to build. When I was building for individual buyers. And I will tell you, I really don't have the temperament for dealing with Mrs. Smith and her telling me that wasn't quite the right shade of avocado green that she was looking for in the kitchen. That's not what I'm good at. So I didn't want to do it. But then after about 4 or 5 years, I'd done well enough in property management. I could build my own house. So I built my own house and I kind of built myself a little nice one and asked a local realtor, hey, what would this sell for? And when she told me what it would sell for, and I looked at what I had in it, this big light bulb went off over the top of my head and say, whoa, where have I been? Right. So I start building some customs. Yeah. And then I had to take a quick trip to Iraq because I was still doing the Marine Corps Reserves. But when
so you were in Iraq?
Just for a year.
Just for a year.
7 months.
Were you in combat?
I was in Fallujah in Iraq.
Were you really?
Yeah. But that was
impressive.
Well, another time. That was 20 years ago or so.
Okay.
But I I came back from that, and I'd been, doing some custom homes in Ardmore, and a local economic development guy named Wes Stuckey, which was kind of a big economic development guy in Ardmore, said, "Hey, we got to have affordable housing. We got to have workforce housing." And he put it out to 2 or 3 of the builders and said, "Here's what I'm gonna do. You get this from a development perspective. I got some junk land left over behind my industrial park. I'm gonna make it residential. I've already pulled water and sewer out there."
Mhm.
So he put in like 30 lots and said, "I'm gonna take 3 builders. And I'm gonna sell you these lots way, way below cost. But you have to build, at the time, you had to build 1,200 to 1,800 square foot. You had to build a 2-car garage, had to be brick, and you had to sell it for $80 a square foot sales
Ooh.
price."
Uh,
And this is
what year was this?
2008,
2008. You're selling for
2008,
$80 a foot.
$80 square foot.
We'll get into that here a little bit later because
So
we've had some discussions on this.
yeah. So I said, "I can do it. I'm in." And to me, I was going to build 10 houses at the same time. And this is going to be the biggest thing ever. I went to the local lumber yards. I was all, "Oh, here we go. I'm building 10, right?"
Got your tool belt?
I did. I was ready to go, right? And we built those 10 and we sold them, and I made decent money at $80 a foot.
Wow.
And I said, "Okay, well, this works." So 2 of us were successful. The other guy wasn't. The 2 of us went back to Mr. Stuckey and were like, "Hey, double down. Let's do it again." And he said, "No." And he said, "Look, I spent a lot of money on those lots, but here's the deal. I'll give you the land. You've got to develop it, but I'll give it to you for free. You do it."
Yeah, got it.
And we said, "Okay."
Mm.
But we also, but we need to get up to $85 a foot. And he said, "Okay, we'll let you do it." So we actually finished that subdivision, 117 more homes at, $85
Yeah.
a foot. And it's a pretty solid, it's, probably 15 years old now in Ardmore, and it's a good, solid subdivision.
So those houses are still up today.
Oh, yeah. And they were for sale. I mean, it was a for sale.
Okay.
We were trying to hit, teachers and
Yeah.
firefighters and the folks that, Ardmore needed to house that couldn't afford to go buy a custom and
Yeah.
didn't want to live in an apartment, or the older housing stock that was in town.
Okay, so that leads me. So these were single family homes.
These are single family homes.
And today you're primarily doing apartment complexes, correct?
No, I am not an apartment guy at all if I don't have to be.
Okay.
My preference is a single family home, or if I'm going to build rental in a more urban area, I like to do a townhome.
Townhome. Okay.
And I will tell you, look, on the townhomes that I'm building from a developer's perspective, I can get about 18 units per acre. Well, when you go to do a 3-story garden style, you're still only getting 22, 23.
So your new project on Western that we
Correct.
visited, we walked through,
Correct.
you consider that a townhome?
That's a townhome.
Okay, got it.
It looks,
okay.
look, to a
Gotcha.
layman,
Yes,
that's an apartment complex.
it is.
But to a builder, that is built to the IRC, not the IBC. And that
Got it.
changes a lot of things.
It does. It does.
Yeah.
It does.
And it also allows all of your occupants to have their own door in front of their own parking downstairs.
Yeah.
Right? Your
Yeah.
parking's not that separated from you. You park out in front.
Yeah.
If your upstairs neighbors are being noisy, that's your own kids. Go up and take care of them.
Okay, so we're sitting here in the Harlow. This is Dick Tannenbaum's new development downtown Oklahoma City. He's done a fabulous
Beautiful.
job, and this is really, really beautiful. Just the amenities and the richness of this, sit in the middle of downtown, 1 block away from the brand new Thunder Arena
Right.
coming in. This is considered a market rate
Correct.
project. This is not what you do.
No.
Why don't you do something like this? Why do you do what you do?
Because I can't compete against guys like you and Mr. Tannenbaum.
Okay, yeah,
Right.
yeah. You
No,
could. You choose not to.
I choose not to. And
Yeah.
I mean, hey, it's a valid question. I will tell you, I tried to build a Class A in Ardmore one time, and I quickly learned 2 things. I don't have the temperament for it,
Mm.
and my property management company is my property management company, and they don't either. I'm not very good with those tenants.
Yeah.
And it's okay, right? I understand who you are, and that's who I am. I work better, right? And that doesn't mean that I take advantage, but I understand them and they understand me. We understand where each of us is coming from, right? And I don't work that well with the Class A tenant.
Yeah. So in Oklahoma, specifically Oklahoma City, we have a tremendous need for housing.
Sure.
And some of that needs to be market rate, but a majority of that really needs to be what we call affordable housing that fits in 1 or 2 or 3 different categories,
Right.
which is workforce housing,
Right.
or what we also talk about is the light tech
Correct.
market. So tell us a little bit about what you try to do. Are you in the affordable housing sector? Or are you doing light tech, which for the audience, we'll talk about, it stands for low income housing tax credits, which is a subsidy to help ensure that we're providing housing that's affordable to lower to middle income families, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
I like to do both. I like to stay in that workforce and LIHTC. So normally LIHTC is folks who are making at or below 60% of the area median income,
Okay.
right? So I'm gonna make simple numbers, simple math for the
Gotcha.
Marine over here. Hey, if Oklahoma City's area median income is 100,000, you can't make more than 60,000 to live there, right? Simple math, and the number's a little bit lower than that. But the problem is, there is quite a bit of subsidy out there, and there are a lot of LIHTC developers that are good, but we all cap out at 60% of the area median income. And then the Class A guys start kicking in at about 100% of the area median income. And you do have this atrocious gap between 60 and 100% that is really, really hard to get filled. What do I like to do? Not as much. I haven't done this in Oklahoma City. So the other issue that I have, I love to work in rural, right? Rural is really my bread and butter.
Yeah.
Ardmore, Duncan, Guyman. And so what I'm starting to do there is I'm starting to mix it. The other problem that I have is if I go do a 40-unit LIHTC development in Guyman, which is a long way away, it's not quite enough units to support a full-time property manager. And that's a problem, right? Because it's just harder with part-timers. And so what I've started to do is I've used, the Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency, funding to go do a 40-unit LIHTC deal in Guyman. But at the same time, I'm going to build some open market at that affordable price point, right? Another 20, 30, 40 units. So all of a sudden now maybe I've got 80 units in Guyman. Makes sense for a full-time property manager. And I've hit that kind of spectrum where I've got, if you're at or below 60, I can cover you here. Hey, if you're in that 60 to 80, I can get you into this.
Gotcha. So I really appreciate Kathy O'Connor introducing us, because when we started talking, I wanted to kind of provide some affordable housing. We still haven't figured out how to get to your business. Not that I want to take things away from you. I want to continue to make sure that we're providing housing for all Oklahomans that are affordable and they can really be proud of where they live. So you're talking, do you manage your stuff? You manage all your own stuff?
Correct.
But you said you don't make money in a management business.
No, it's we consider it a necessary evil.
Okay.
Right. I mean, it's one of those. But you've got to have it, and maybe people say I'm controlling, but I don't want to turn my properties over to someone else and hope they do well. I
don't either.
I want to have control on what we're doing, whether it's the repairs or the cost or how we treat tenants.
Yeah. Well, so I'm going to get into a little bit of the cost, and then after that, I want to get into some of the things that you have done to really control some of this cost. You and I see each other probably once a month.
Yep.
I'm the chair of the Oklahoma or Council for Bond Oversight, oversees all the bonds for the state of Oklahoma. And in that OFA, Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency, comes with different projects that we have to approve. And we're not really approving the validity of the project. We're only making sure that it passes the state test, right? But what surprises me, and I've had deep conversations about this, is your ability to deliver a product well below what other people are delivering for. And I distinctly remember one project that came before us on the same day you came before us. It was $300 and some $1,000, like $324, I kind of remember, per door. And then you came right after that, and you were like $220 per door. It was, I remember the exact number. That's pretty close to it. I'm going $100,000 plus per door cheaper. Wow. How do you do it? I don't want to get into your modular system yet, but how do you do that? I mean, and tell me the difference between those.
It's a tough one. I think one of the very first things is, a big part of it is location. If you're trying to build one in downtown Oklahoma City, there are a lot of restrictions and things that you have to deal with that if you're, building out in, Yukon or Spencer, that you don't have to go through. So that does control some of it.
And your land basis is probably cheaper out there than here.
Land basis is definitely cheaper out there than here. But the other one is, I am also very, very integrated. I am the development company, but I'm also the GC. I'm very, very heavily involved in the architecture. And I will tell you, I really control my architecture. And I end up being the manager on the backside. So I think, being vertically integrated. And another one of the big ones is, there's a lot of aspects to controlling the design and the architecture. One is, no, we can't do that crazy pitched roof. We've got to stay in this workforce realm. And it's not that I don't want them to have a nice place, but they also don't need a 12-12 pitch roof, But the other one is being very repetitive in what we build. And so I only have a few units that I choose from. And if you've built the same house like 300 times, you really get your takeoffs down. Your plumber doesn't make mistakes because, I mean, I have a plumber right
repetitive.
now. He literally has the dimensions memorized for
Mm.
where his plumbing goes in the ground. He doesn't even pull plans anymore, right? Because we build that same product over. And so
Yeah.
repetition there is key.
Yeah.
And and if I've designed a good home that I'm proud of, a town home or townhome, it still lives very well,
Yeah.
right? And so no, I don't have to have 10 different plans
Yeah.
that are creating all these inefficiencies.
Well, I tell you, I mentioned that project in Western that you walked us through. I
Right.
was impressed with what you built there. I mean,
Thanks.
it's not like you're building low quality stuff. I mean, it'll stand the test of time, and it's very good living.
And we try to, I emphasize, I get this a lot. I'm going to tell you, he's not going to watch this, but my painter's not the best painter in the world, right? You would come kind of pick me apart about this paint line. But what I try to say is, I got it. But I will tell you, I'm on a post-tension foundation, right? I'm in a net and blow wall. I HERS rate every door. I spend the money on the things that I think matter
Right.
long term.
Yeah.
I use a cement-based siding. These are the things that are going to make this thing last because I'm going to own this for the next 15 plus
Right.
years.
Yeah.
I spend the money there, and maybe I'm a little bit cheap on the painter. But
Yeah.
in the end, I also look at my tenants and I understand what they want, and they're okay that the paint line's not perfectly straight around the window,
Sure.
right? But I got a more square footage. I like to build a little bit bigger square footage than most, and I'm going to tell you, this is why I think I understand them. That I get what they want.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, so let's go into uh, recently you bought your own manufacturing facility, and now you're building off-site
Correct.
projects and bringing it. Tell us what got you started
Sure.
there, and tell us about that process. I haven't been there, but Andy Ridley went
Right.
and looked at your.
Yep.
I want to come see it.
Yep.
But so to tell us about this.
Well, it's the extension of, look, going from being a home builder that has 20 different plans to, nope, I do mainly workforce and affordable. I've pared it down to 4 plans. And I'm building them over and over again. It's the next step. Okay, how much? What? I did this one time. So there's a stud called a jack stud that when you're framing your house, the jack stud goes beside a king stud, right? And if your designer has put the windows and doors at the same height, the jack stud is the same all around the house. I counted on one house. It was 94 jack studs to build that one house. Well, the way we build a jack stud is we go buy a regular stud and we use a circular saw and we cut it. 94 times for one house. How inefficient is that?
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay, so that the very start is, what if we took what's called a bunk saw and put the bunk of studs on there and used one cut, and all of a sudden I got 3 houses worth of jack studs? Well, that's step one. But if you're going to go there, let's go to, for years, people have been using roof trusses. Instead of stick framing in the field, you build that truss in the factory and bring it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why can't we just keep taking it farther and farther to the point where you're like, well, we're building the whole second floor up here, right? And so I think where it can go is that we can build the entire second floor complete in the factory.
Mm-hmm.
It is done, right? Flooring's in, ceiling fan spinning. We're hanging the bathroom mirror on the wall in the factory, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then bringing it out and craning it into place on top of the first floor. And the reason we do that, I also can't give up in Oklahoma that my tenant, Mrs. Smith, expects it to be on a concrete foundation and expects it to be brick. That's what they're looking for.
Okay. Yeah.
And all the other modular guys are bringing it out on a wood floor, and and it's generally it might be a cement-based siding, might be an LP Smart side, or even a vinyl. But it's not brick and it's not concrete. And I can't get there in my head. I'm going to own this for 15, 20 years. I need brick and I need concrete.
Yeah,
and so the only way I've been able to crack it so far is to pour that slab in the field, and then we pre-frame all those walls. So when the walls come out for the first floor, they're already framed up, the sheathing's on, the windows are in. We've pre-drilled the holes where the electric is going to go.
Oh, have you really?
Oh, yeah.
In the shop.
In the shop.
Wow.
Because why not? It's
Okay, yeah.
it's easy, right?
Yeah.
We've put some of the plumbing already in the walls, right? I mean, we've got it as far as we can go, but I can't hang drywall yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so the first floor gets stood up, and you can stand a house in about 4 hours, right? And then you bring the second floor and it just cranes into place and it's complete. And so it's not, man, I'd like to be able to get farther, but right now that can cut my kind of production time in the factory, my production time in the field, 40%, 50%.
Do you have any partners? Is it just you?
I have on a few individual deals. I have an individual partner here, an individual partner there on specific deals. But for the most part, it's me. Other than my construction company and my property management company a few years ago when I said I'm going to go to this house factory thing and I need you guys to. I took the folks that were running it and said, I need you to have ownership. You always want people to treat it like you own it, right?
Yeah.
And they generally won't until they own it.
Okay.
And so those, a couple of those companies, I've kind of split up and said, no, I want you to own it.
Yeah, that's cool. That's great. So you've mentioned this 15 years a couple of times. So tell us a little bit about what's the magic about 15 years.
Good.
And then I want you to get into also the complexity from a financing standpoint on this product, because it's not just like you go to a bank and say, give me some money, I'm going to build this. The complexity is pretty difficult.
It is, and so I might go backwards on you. I'll go on to that. So I use the low income housing tax credit. It's administered through the Oklahoma Housing Finance Agency. We call them OFA. And the way it worked, the quick history is it was 1986, and Ronald Reagan had brought in Jack Kemp to run HUD, and he said, hey, as a bureaucracy, we're not really good at doing housing. We look at across the public housing across the nation, and we're kind of embarrassed about it. Right. And I'm going to paraphrase the way I think it came out. Hey, what I need you to do, Mr. Kemp, is I need you to get some, for-profit developers like Lance that run kind of fast and loose. I need to get them to do this.
So he actually used your name?
I think he did. He called me out by name in 86.
I love that. Oklahoma.
But he said, hey, we need to get the private sector to take this affordable housing over. Is literally what President Reagan said to Senator Kemp at the time, and so they crafted this concept where to get private for-profit developers to come in and build housing that they will rent at an affordable rate, they had to give them a subsidy. And so the subsidy is this tax credit. Okay. So I apply to OFA, and OFA, gives me this tax credit, and let's say that they, it's a $20 million build, and they're going to give me a subsidy, of $12 million in tax credits. I now have to go. I unfortunately do not have the need for $12 million in federal tax credits, so I need to go basically syndicate. I'm not allowed to sell them, but I have to bring in an investor that needs them. Right. So I go find a syndicator, and they come in and they invest in my project and take a large ownership percentage so that when those tax credits start to flow, they receive the benefit of that tax credit and the depreciation that's coming in on the deal. Right. And in exchange for that, they do pay, right now the market's a little bit low. They're paying maybe 78, 79 cents on the dollar. Right. So, if OFA gave me $12 million, I'm taking home like 9.5. But I've got a deal that, is $20 million. And instead of it having a $20 million perm note, maybe it's only got a $9 million perm note, or $11 million perm note. And because it's got such limited perm debt, I'm okay to bring my rents down and meet that rent rate that is required of the program, right? It's very strict.
The AMI. Yeah.
I've got to meet that AMI, and I've got to rent at someone at or below 6% of AMI, and I can only rent at a rate that, according to HUD, they could afford.
Gotcha.
So it's not a HUD program. It is not administered by HUD. A lot of people get confused and think it's Section 8. It's different.
It's not.
It's not Section 8. But HUD does set a few rules, right? And HUD sets some rent limits. And so there is this kind of very restricted rent. And my requirement is for the first 15 years, I have to meet these requirements. And then recently, 10 or 15 years ago, they kind of came and said, hey, you know what? We really want to make that 30 years. But
they didn't switch it in the middle.
No, they didn't. No, I mean, it came across. It's called the extended use period, right? No, and now some agencies like OFA, especially some of the bigger state agencies, are going, hey, you know what? If you want to be successful in our program, you should probably go ahead and do 40 years, and it's okay. And I don't.
Well, that's what HUD does.
And that's what HUD does. But the syndicator that bought the credits, they have some pretty big risk for the first 15 years. For 15 years, if I fail to rent to the right folks or fail to charge the right amount of rent, there could be a recapture on those tax credits. So that syndicator is very, very involved with me in what I do.
At least for 15 years.
For 15 years.
So you obviously, but have pretty much the same syndicators every time because they get comfortable with who you are, or you have a lot of different syndicators?
When I started, I had one syndicator that I used for like 22 deals.
Wow.
And it was because I knew them, they knew me. I hate to say this, but I could be lazy and I didn't have to read the whole, 300 pages of docs. I could redline them from the last deal.
Or just sign them.
Or
change the name.
Had to make sure they weren't slipping some stuff in.
Oh, yeah.
They always like to slip a few things in, right?
No, they wouldn't do that. Come on.
But as I got bigger, I didn't see eye to eye with them on some things, and so and also I will tell you, the more successful I got, other syndicators were interested in when I was first deal or two, nobody wanted to talk to me, right? I was some podunk guy in Ardmore,
From
Oklahoma,
Ardmore,
from
yeah.
Ardmore, right? What do you do? I don't know anything. As I became more successful, some of the bigger syndicators were
Yeah.
more interested in
Yeah.
having a
Are
conversation.
the syndicators Oklahoma based or are they out of state?
No, there are no Oklahoma-based syndicators.
There are
The-
not.
the-
Why is that?
Um, I mean, it takes it. It's pretty hard to put one together,
Yeah,
right? It takes
yeah.
quite a bit of capital. There's a regional that was the one that I started with, and they do specialize in working with, they specialize pretty heavy in Oklahoma. They're very strong in Oklahoma, and specialize helping developers out that are kind of new, right?
Yeah.
But the bigger boys, I mean, I'm dealing with our players with Bank of America, or Berkshire Hathaway is one that's syndicating for me right now, and
Okay.
under one of their companies, right?
Sure.
They're big.
Got it.
yeah.
It. Okay, so you're building workforce housing
Mm-hmm.
or building low income housing through tax credits, light tech tax credits.
Right.
Sometimes that comes with a stigma to it.
Yes.
How do you get around the nimbas of the world?
It's tough. One of the things is we've partnered with OFA. So when I first got into the industry 16, 17 years ago, in order to get your application through OFA, you had to go to the city council of the city and get them
Oh, wow.
to support what you were doing, and actually even give you, $15,000 waiver or something. And you were waving a red flag in front of a bull, right? Of what you're doing. And the problem is you had to get it, and B, you had to relocate. Hey, and I'm going to do it in this neighborhood right here, right next to your fancy neighborhood. And it was really tough. OFA has definitely come on board and said, you're right. That's really, that's not really a concern for the city, right? And I think we're kind of taking the attitude of, hey, when you go to plat me or zone me, you shouldn't be talking about what's the class of neighbor that's going to live in the
should not.
neighborhood.
You-
That's not
absolutely
appropriate,
not.
right? And I work in a lot of small towns, and I will tell you, unfortunately, I have to have that conversation with planning and zoning meetings a lot. Hey guys, we're not here to talk about who the tenants might or might not be, right? That's not
Yeah.
that's not appropriate, right, for this conversation, because there's a lot of problems with that, fair housing problems with that.
Is it really?
So number one, I try to purchase land, and I don't make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
But I also try to be a good neighbor.
Yeah.
And I get this, especially in rural Oklahoma. I mean, my hometown really is Medill, Oklahoma.
Are
And
you from Medill?
I'm from Medill,
Oh,
born and raised in
nice.
Medill.
Nice.
And I went, one of the biggest NIMBY fights I ever had was I was going back to hometown, right? They tore me up. And in the end, the city manager came to me after I'd built it. About a year later, he came and said, Lance, your subdivision's one of the nicest we have in town. And he was right, because they didn't have any new houses, right? And I built, and I might have spruced it up just a little bit because it was hometown,
Yeah.
right? But it was still, it was 60 single family homes, and they look nice.
So how? What have you done because perception is one's reality, whether it's
Correct.
true or not.
Right.
How do you work on perception of really what you do and what you bring to the community? Because I'm telling you, like, you bring a good service to all communities, because this is so needed in today's world.
About the best I can do, I will tell you, in the end, it is about property management.
Mhm.
And the best I can do is try to be a good property manager, try to keep a clean subdivision. And I will not look you in the eye and say, and I'm successful across all 27 of them. I am not. Well, we stumble, we get some things wrong. But I think for the most part, I like to be able to go to a subdivision that I built 7 years ago that is in the tax credit program, and drive through and go, it's not the nicest subdivision in town, but it's certainly not the worst, right? And it looks nice, and I'm proud of it. And these are nice looking homes, and we're making sure the tenants are taking care of them. And I think that asking a city manager, or a city development services director to, hey, call the city of Medill, call the city of Ardmore, ask them about the homes, and
good.
see what you think.
So how many units have you built since you did your first 8 in Ardmore to today? How many, and how many do you have under construction today?
Ooh, I have a lot under construction right now. I think I probably have 600 under construction right now.
Wow.
Yeah, I had some deals that all kind of, I had some of your bond deal, right? A couple of those bond deals that you and I got through were 200 units at a pop. So
Those
if you
are
got
big
two of
ones.
those going, there's 400, right?
That's right. Yeah.
And I think I actually have 3 of those going right now.
Do you really?
I
Wow.
do. So I have about 600 under construction right now. And I think the last count was about 3,800 that I've built since I
That's awesome.
started.
That's so cool. All in Oklahoma.
You know, I've done a little bit in Kansas. I've done one project in Dodge City. I GC'd a tax credit deal for someone up in Missouri, but most of that, no, it's primarily Oklahoma. And now that's not all LITech. We do a lot of work for the Choctaw Nation. They are a wonderful partner, and we've built a ton of homes for them in southeastern Oklahoma. I think our count there is close to 500 homes for the Choctaw
wow,
in
that's awesome.
southeastern Oklahoma.
That's
Yeah.
really cool. We've talked a little bit about OFA. I
Mhm.
think it bears repeating that OFA is an awesome organization, well run, and really provides a tremendous service to ensure all Oklahomans have housing here. Would you agree with that?
I hate for their staff to hear me say that,
Yeah.
but I 100% agree with you. Yes, they're going to give.
Some of them are going to listen to
I know
this.
some of them are going to listen. They're going to look at me.
Including
and go,
Daryl. Daryl's
yeah.
going to be listening.
No,
to this.
I look. I give their staff grief all the time, but in the end, I will look and go, and they are doing a great job, right?
They are
Yeah, it
doing
doesn't mean that I'm not going to push them to be better, right?
That's right,
But they're
that's it.
great. No,
Yeah,
they are
right.
great, and but you know, I see that in small town where I have a local builder complaining about how bad the city inspectors are, and I'm like, well, this town. I don't think, I can tell you about some other towns. I can look at OPA staff and compare them to some other state agency, not Oklahoma agencies, other state housing agencies. And I had someone ask me this the other day, and I'm like, no, clearly of the 3 or 4 others that I've talked to, OFA is well above.
Yeah.
They get they get what needs to be done, and they don't get involved in the stuff that they don't need to be
That's
involved
right.
in.
Yeah. Great. That's good. Okay. So, any advice you'd give to somebody that wants to get into this business?
Into the workforce and affordable side?
That's correct.
Yeah, call OFA, right?
Yeah.
So, gosh, maybe 2 years ago, 18 months, 2 years ago, the state legislature allocated $215 million to help with this problem. And they handed it to OFA and said, get this money out the door. We need both for sale product and we need rental product. We need it in urban and we need it in rural. And OFA has worked really hard. OFA had to flip, right? They were not lenders, right? But state legislature, yes, you are now. Mm-hmm. And they have done a good job of rolling that out, and they are getting that money out the door. So if you're already a builder, right, and they're not looking for someone that has never built a house before, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. But if you've built a house, if you've got your feet wet, they have some amazing financing right now, and the incentive is, but you have to target it at that kind of workforce, level, but it comes with, it's not an incentive that ties your hands very much. Yeah. And it's a 0% construction loan. That's a big deal. Mm-hmm. And so I would tell you that is the number one start would be go hit those guys.
Is it, can you get into it if you don't have any money?
You have to have a little bit of money, okay, right? So they're looking for you to either own the land or have 5 to 10% down of the build. But that's less than what the banks that are surrounding us right now are asking for.
That's
right. Yeah. And so that's kind of why I would push folks in that direction. And if you want to become a LITech developer that's doing 200 unit bond deals, it's a slow path. But the start is, hey, go do 5 houses under this OFA program, and then go do 10 houses under the next OFA program, and get a couple of those underneath your belt. Get yourself familiar with that agency, and then talk to them about, I might want to do a 9% deal, which is the 15-year compliance, which is the one. I think it's a great stepping stone to get yourself involved in that developer community and expand.
Do you fear others getting in the business and then taking a little market share from you?
So I think I was reading it. The new housing director for the city of Oklahoma City, Ms. Ince, is that?
I think that's right.
That's correct. I think she had a market study done that said that we need 45,000 houses in Oklahoma City proper. So the factory that I just built can turn out about 500 a year, right? Yeah. So I have about 90 years.
You're okay with the competition?
I think there is plenty of room, and people call us all the time, and And my development team is actually now doing applications for other people, just because they're good at it and the people need the help. And there is so much need that everybody needs to.
So how old are you?
53. Thanks for asking.
Sorry about that, but
It's all right.
So when do you plan to slow down? Because you work. I think that's all you do is work.
It is all I do as I work. I would tell you, I've got involved in a project. I would love to tell you that I've been 100% successful in every project I've ever done, and I'd be lying. I've got one right now that has gone pretty south, and I have personally had to go out there and take it over. And by doing so, and some of the unpleasant talks I've had to have with some finance guys about it, it has pushed me a lot harder towards, hey, Lance, maybe it's time to step back and I'm never going to retire because I would get really bored, but maybe do more mentoring, right? I don't know if consulting's the right word, but stepping back and maybe not being the lead guy all the time. And
Sure.
And
do you have any interns that or would you be open to having some interns come in and start learning?
I don't have interns. I have staff.
Okay.
Right. And like I said, I've got staff that are doing so well that I need to give them part of the business because I want them to take it and run, and I want to be able to not
have to do it all.
I want them to have to worry about it, right?
Sure.
I want me to be able to come in and go, how's that going? And maybe I'll give you some guidance over some coffee, and then I'm going to go away.
No,
so
I
can after the period that I've been in here recently, I could see me at some point start to go, hey, maybe how many units? We're coming up on 2,000 units under management. How many's enough?
Yeah, I mean, it's enough.
Yeah.
Well, Lance, it's a pleasure. Again, when Kathy introduced us, at first I was a little, I don't know, but I've really marveled at what you've done and what you do, and you're serving a tremendous need while building a good business that is admirable. So thank you for being here today. Thank you for sharing some of your thoughts, and
sure.
And we'll let you get back out to your problem. You going back out to the site?
I'm heading right back out there.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, thanks for coming downtown.
Oh, you bet.
It.
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Next time, I'm joined by Jennifer Nakayama, President and CEO of Downtown Oklahoma City Incorporated, the organization that advocates for the continued growth of our city's urban core. Jennifer shares her perspective on growth, collaboration, and what it takes to keep momentum alive as downtown continues to evolve. We hope you enjoyed our discussion today and learned some things along the way. The day is what you make of it. See you in 2 weeks.